Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and welcome back for the people that enjoy the retros, or welcome back to the people that have been, maybe they dipped out. Oh, Travis and Dylan reviewed season 3 of Daredevil, not going to be back to season 4. Well, it's nice to see you again after 7 years. I am a disgusting sandwich, Travis now, and I'm joined by.
I am the filler of holes, Kirklin Patzer.
You filled that hole really well. Has it really been 7 years? Oh my
Yeah,
God, that is
7
insane.
plus,
I am Dylan, back again after 7 years apparently, buried in rubble, but it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Dylan born again. I am Andy Taylorfield.
You know, Dylan, if you went by that nickname that had the dog in it, you could have the double D's if you wanted. You know?
The nickname with the dog, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Good
Sorry.
old Dill Dog. You know that one?
Oh.
I didn't want to say it. I thought you would know. I thought you know. I didn't.
How
wanna say it.
was I supposed to know that? That was the
I saw you hate
deepest
with a
cut I've ever
passion
heard
at
in my
any
life.
time. But, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are here. I would say as of right now, I know we had Captain America, but hey, for our MCU projects, us four voted Daredevil Born Again as our most anticipated Marvel project, and definitely one of my most anticipated projects of all since this podcast. I think for the year, this is our biggest one. I think it's going to be a very exciting review because we come from two different sides. There's like two different countries coming together. Where me and Dylan are the old sheriffs. You know, we did our time. We were there for every single other than the very first Daredevil. After that, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Defenders, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Punisher. We were there for it all. Where you got Kirklin and Tara, who just the past, from, I don't know, October to now, have just started to dip their, I'd say their whole body's dipped in Daredevil now, but it's a whole different perspective.
Drenched in DD.
Exactly.
Can't get it
So
out.
I got lots of things to promote, lots of things to share, but we'll do that in a little bit. And I'm going to, I don't want to offend the other two, but I am going to throw to my Netflix brethren because, we were there since the beginning. So I'm going to throw to Dilmus first to, also you can give people like a little just elevator pitch of any history you might have with Daredevil, your thoughts on the old show, because also we weren't on those retros. So people might not even, there's a whole bunch of people that are listening that probably never heard our thoughts. So just a mini elevator pitch and then non-spoilers, what you thought of Daredevil Born Again, which is now out and returned. So
Yeah, well, now I'm trying to remember back. Did we start with season 2, or did we go back and do one like months
never
after
did
it came
one.
out or something?
We never did one because I listened to a little bit of our season 3 review and we said, oh, maybe one day we'll retro season 1, and we didn't. So we never did.
These boys
We
did it
got you
for
guys
us, huh?
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that one.
Yeah.
We're bigger fans over here.
Yeah, so at some point jumped into that show back in the day, and then kind of stuck around for every other season of all those Netflix Marvel shows, which was quite an era. And man, I can't believe it's been 7 years since the end of Daredevil season 3. That's kind of an insane thing to think about. But I think I'm coming at this from like a slightly different angle from all three of you yet, because Taylor Kirklin, fresh off watching this show. Travis, you did a rewatch of the whole thing, and is that your second full rewatch, or have you done multiple over the years?
Yeah, I've lost count. Like, I don't say in like a cocky way of like I've watched it 10. No, but I feel like it's a show throughout the years I've been like I'm just gonna put on Daredevil and I've run through it. I don't think it's greater. I don't think I'm in the double digits though. I'll say that. But it had been a moment. It had been quite a while since I'd done that. So.
Well, it's easy for me to count it because it was just the one time that I watched it, and so it's been a while. I am very foggy Nelson on some of these details. A lot of these things have kind of left my brain, and people are talking about things, and then it's like, okay, it's coming back here. And, I do really love the show, so I think a lot of it did stay in my memory. But if you ask me a detail about like any movie that I reviewed last year, I probably couldn't even do that. My memory, as many listeners know, is just not very good. So coming at this, in a bit of a, looking through the dark here, trying to find my way. But yeah, I feel like the show picked up in a way that was pretty easy to do so. And I really enjoyed these first 2 episodes. In particular, I really loved the first one here. And the second one was good. It was solid, but it wasn't quite as stellar as that first one, I suppose. But I really like what we've done with the show. I feel like they did a good job of doing the 2-episode thing here, because just kind of where we get by the end of episode 2 is kind of where I want to be at the end of like the pilot of a show, kind of, in terms of really getting us into the good stuff. So yeah, I'm really into what we got here. I think the action and those moments are working. There's already tons of characters and storylines set up. A couple of them I'm not too sure about, but that's always how it goes with these Marvel Netflix shows. There's the random people on the side who are at varying levels of quality, so we'll see what some of that stuff does. But with like our main cast and crew here, firing on all cylinders feels like a bit of an overstatement, but it's like it's really solid start here, and I'm very excited to continue with this bad boy. So it's good to be back. It's good to have this show back after all these years, even though we've got Daredevil and Charlie Cox back for a few other things. But this is the cream of the crop right here. So I'm excited. I'm feeling happy.
Kirkland, did it cream your crop?
Cream my crop. This was an interesting one because, in the last handful of months, I went through the whole Daredevil experience, and it's super fresh still.
Well, except for Defenders.
Yeah, big key part missing.
Yeah, ruined season 3 for me, not watching Defenders. But I was very much excited for this one. It was weird because I didn't have to wait a long time. So for me, watching from season 3 Daredevil to this one, it felt like a disjointed connection of the two. I think for me right now. So Dylan, it's funny you said episode 1 you were really hot on. Episode 2 not so much. I'm like the complete opposite. Episode 1 actually was like kind of rough for me, of like a landing. Oh my!
It was that rough as camera.
They're
died,
pulling me.
holy
They're
shit.
pulling me. They're pulling me.
Yeah. Oh shit, we can't talk to Kirkland. Foggy sniped him. He got him. I give you Daredevil back after 7 years, and the first thing you say is disjointed.
Yeah. So like, I feel like it. I'll save it for spoilers. But yeah, episode 1 for me, it seemed kind of disjointed from the original show. But episode 2, I feel like it's just pushing forward with the story now, not trying to so much like carry on with what happened in the original show. It's just telling its own journey now, and I think I'm just a lot more hooked on that. So yeah, it was kind of a weird, because build up anticipation, really excited to get the show going, and then it's just like, oh man, I'm really not liking this. I'm not liking the vibe. I'm not liking just the character dynamics. But fortunately, jumping into, and like I think the back half of episode 1, already I was starting to vibe with it a little bit more. It was just like an initial first introduction, like, oh man, what's Marvel doing to this show now? I'm so worried. But no, it's I'm vibing with it. I'm loving our lead. Charlie Cox is as powerful as he's ever been. So I'm digging it. And I will say, I think some things that I may have had some issues with, that mostly in the the season 3 of Daredevil, I feel like I'm already kind of thinking of it differently and vibing with it a little more. Obviously, I'll detail that when we get to it. But it was an interesting first 2 episodes here, and loving the length though. Like I feel like we had a long time. It's not like a 22-minute and then it's over, rolling credits. You're like, are you serious? That's it? Like, oh my gosh, it's only 9 episodes, right, for this season. So I'm hoping we spend our time wisely. But I'm not super hot, not super down. So it's gonna be interesting going into next week. And is it 2 episodes every week?
No, just there's another week later on. Yeah. I feel like they did this for the hype, and then I bet that one in the middle is probably one of them's probably a slower episode, and they're like, we can't just give them this week. They're gonna complain,
Yeah.
So it's like, well, look at Andor. They're really gonna complain. Let's give them 3 a week. It's like, I don't know if you can do that, but okay, Disney Plus, sure.
I will say I am looking forward to these weekly reviews, because like on the retro with just me and Taylor, I feel like there's some things where I'm like, I'm curious if certain individuals feel the same way we do on certain characters. But let's keep going.
Yeah. I'll go just to keep the theme of Netflix, Netflix. So I'll leave Taylor for last, which is dangerous, but alas, here we are. I think people... I don't know how to feel about this. I this is almost one where I wish I had more time to sit on. So I think if you were to ask me 2 different questions, I'd have, of course, different answers for you, of course. But I mean, like, for this show, there's 2 ways you could look at it, right? Do you like Daredevil Born Again by itself? I would say yes. I'm enjoying a lot of the new aspects they've brought to Daredevil. Cox and D'Onofrio just always good. Like, seeing... Because, it's different with Cox. D'Onofrio, like, he was in Hawkeye. That was very iffy. He was in Echo, which he wasn't into much. This feels like we're back to prime D'Onofrio Kingpin. I know, hey, there's some hot takes down there below, but for me, he is a top 5 MCU, just Marvel villain. Scratch, and even comic villain, he might be top 10. Like, I know he's not exactly like he's the mustache, like, oh, I'm a big tough guy. But it's like, that's what I loved, is they recreated the character, and that carries over here. And for my brief history, yeah, with Dylan, we reviewed all of them. I always say, like, rewatching it, I would say maybe the Netflix show is the best live action comic show. It's always that, Loki, or Watchmen. Those are the three. But I feel like with Daredevil, after the rewatch, I'm like, yeah, I think I can cement it as for live action purely. The animated stuff, it would be a lot lower because there's a lot of great stuff out there. But and Daredevil, I absolutely love the character. Next to Wolverine, he's my favorite Marvel character in that kind of echelon. So I've been very anticipated. This is a show that I kind of thought would maybe never happen. I thought we'd get Cox back in the MCU, but we've gotten this. So if you're asking me, do I like this show? And I do because, yeah, we get those two back, and they feel like they just carried right over from the show. They feel exactly like nothing's changed. Because, like, me and Taylor talked about this on a newscast a couple weeks ago with, like, Johnny Depp and Jack Sparrow, where it's like eventually you feel like, hey, this isn't that same guy anymore. Where Cox and D'Onofrio, they feel exactly like they did 7 years ago. They haven't missed a beat. If not, they're somewhat better, which is kind of crazy. So that's exciting. I think there's some elements to New York they're adding, and there's some stuff that because I was talking about Emily, because she was on some of those reviews of us, and they had some stuff that was topical, but I think with this show, with the mayor aspect, and this is all stuff you see in trailers, but with the mayor aspect, with the police aspect, with some aspect of vigilantes, there's lots of stuff that is very, like, current to right now. It's happening right now, which I said was interesting because Brave New World, I thought that was maybe a negative for them because that kind of hurt, like, people, I don't know if I want to see this, but, like, Fisk is literally, they're just drawing the line to the president. And the fact that, okay, police brutality is not just like a story, it's a huge plot beat here. That to me is like a really bold swing to do right now, because you can turn off a lot of viewers that way and go, oh, I don't need this, or oh, I feel about this, or the cops are always right, where I don't think the original show had those big swings. So I think the show's doing some really risky but provocative stuff, so I'm enjoying that. Now, if you ask me, do I enjoy this as Daredevil season 4, that's like a different question, and that's where I feel I don't know what people are watching. This is the same way. We'll wait and see, because I remember a Spider-Man Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, whatever the fuck that show's called. I hate
Your
that
Friendly
title.
Neighborhood Spider-Man.
The new Spider-Man show on Disney Plus, where it's like, this is one of the best ever. I still never got to that point, but near the back half, I was like, okay, I can see the reviews warranted here. Where at the beginning, I'm like, it's a little rocky. For me, the show look-wise doesn't really feel like Netflix. They do something that's like a classic. They try and do a few things. One in particular that's a classic Netflix thing, and it's so Disney-fied, I couldn't enjoy it at all. Like, it just did not feel like what that thing was in the past. That Daredevil is one of the things it's known for, and this felt like a very odd version. It feels, and people don't hate me for this quote, it feels like a Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker comparison, where you can tell J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, like, look how much Rose is used in Last Jedi, right? And then look how much she's used in Rise of Skywalker. So if you're a big fan of that Rose character, that fucking sucks. If you're not, then great. And I feel like this show feels like that a little bit. The way it's shot, just the way it feels. I think it's tough because it feels like a reboot of the Daredevil show and a season 4, but it doesn't want to pick which lane it's in. And that's what's so interesting, is they shot the show, and then the rumor was like, oh, they reshot it, it wasn't good, and they didn't feel it was like Daredevil season 4, and all the press has been like, yeah, this is Daredevil season 4, this is just like Netflix. And I don't think so. If you were to tell me this was a reboot, the same way J.K. Simmons was playing, a new Jonah, I would believe you. Not the canon, they keep the canon stuff, I just mean some of the vibe, the look, the feel, some storylines. It's a little iffy. Even the storyline we're doing, I'm curious to get Kirklin's thoughts on, because there's an aspect of he's not a fan of. And for me, there's a storyline we're doing for a third time. You guys didn't watch Defenders, but it's so to me, it's just like, this is the best we got. So if you watch it as its own new show, I think it stands a lot better. If you're looking for it as a hardcore Netflix fan, as a continuation, other than Cox and D'Onofrio, and those are that's like a consistent line, if it feels off, it definitely feels very different. So I think this is gonna, for me, overall be a good show, maybe a great show. Like, some of the stuff is great, but if the quality's like this, I think it's firmly placed below those three. But we're only 2 episodes in, we'll see. But as far as like a Netflix vibe and the grittiness, it's definitely missing some of that grit. It's had a lot of plaster scene put all over it, especially, I'll say, in the first 10 minutes. It was like, ooh, this is not, I missed some of that stuff. But overall, still really enjoy it, still good. But I would say if people are excited by the thought of, oh, it's more of a continuation, I would really backpedal, and I'll share more of those thoughts and spoilers. So
just the fact that it's 9 episodes versus 13,
Mhm.
like I feel like that's going to be hard to compare. Like you just have so much more time
Yeah.
to spend on those storylines. Just
Absolutely, yeah.
if you're wanting to compare the seasons, but it
Mhm.
is going to be interesting once it's all done.
Mr. Field, take us home the non-spoilers.
Yeah, this I think you guys have said many good points about it, and this show being a sequel and like a soft reboot kind of a thing, I think at its core for me, when I was watching that first episode, it felt like, okay, Disney is definitely just putting their mark down, and hey, we have all these different things that were already created in this pre-established universe, and we want to change it drastically to keep some familiar things. Obviously, you want to have things that you would recognize and are familiar with, but you also want to have a whole new era ushered in, and I think that they're just trying to make it more their own by doing that. Was I shocked with some of the changes? Yes, I absolutely was. But at the end of the day, I'm not disappointed or anything along those lines. I thought, okay, this is quite crazy, but I feel like, unfortunately, the very beginning of that first episode was immensely rushed, and I could have done with that have been dragged out for the first half hour or so of the episode, because it just would have suited it a bit better instead of just being such a rushed, like I don't want to say anything that'll borderline into spoilers. It just, at the end of the day, I feel like it just got a little bit too fast paced, and I think that is a bit of a negative for me in that regard. And then how things transition later on, I thought, okay, well, that's when things started to get interesting in a different light, a different perspective. But there are familiar things from the other 3 seasons, and again, I haven't seen Defender, so I can't comment on that, but the other 3 seasons, they have these familiar beats in this first and second episode that it was very recognizable. So I'm curious what they're going to be doing here, and if they are going to, if they've tried to make it their own, are they going to keep going and keep trying to make it their own? Are they going to be kind of piggybacking and making it, like, taking familiar beats from the first 3 seasons? I don't know. That being said, it's not bad. I don't hate it. I like the show, and I like what we've seen so far, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go. There's a couple Easter eggs that they've dropped in there, which was really, really cool, really, really fun. One that I need to ask you guys about, I'm not sure if you got it, because
You only get to ask one of us.
only one. It'll probably be you, Travis.
And if I get it wrong, no one else can answer.
Okay. It was weird, and I think you'd only notice it if you had the captions on, because it was like inaudibly, you couldn't hear it because the
Blade.
audio.
You ready
the
for
audio,
this, Matt?
The audio.
And now Blade's back again as a voice.
The audio kind of fuzzed out, and it was just in the captions. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh,
like, actually,
okay.
they said that? Holy shit. So
Well, Kirklin's the caption king, so I'm sure he saw it too.
Oh yeah, I do more reading than I do listening.
Really? Then you might be better to ask Kirklin, because I don't have captions on unless the kids are around.
And you can only
But I
ask
need-
one of us, so you
I
better.
need the comic
one.
the comic book history, though, because
Oh.
I took it to Google, and I was like, the Google's not even telling me the right answer
The
here.
Googs.
The Googs.
Superman Mike says, I see it as a new comic run from a new artist writer. It was never going to be exactly like Netflix, paraphrase there. But yeah, no, I agree. And that to me is why I said, like, if you ask me how do I just feel the show by itself, great so far. It's just when it is like I feel like it's just a lot of word salad that they've done the past few months to try and get people on board, because I feel like there's tons of people, especially because I love Daredevil and She-Hulk. I was completely fine with that, but the crowd that didn't was like, oh man, fucking Disney, they're gonna ruin Daredevil. When one, they've never really read Daredevil and know like he has many runs where he is comedic and he's kind of very charismatic and can be a fun like vigilante, or there's whether he's through depression, he's kind of pushing his darkness off to the side. But I think that's on the back, and I think that some of the stuff too you're talking about, the first 10 minutes feels like it's like we got to make like a certain people happy, then we're gonna get to our show, but it's like, let's make those people like, you remember this and you know this, like oh, you're welcome here, Netflix fans. But like really
You're welcome. Fuck you.
well, yeah, we'll get there. So yeah, we're gonna take spoilers because also it sounds like we want to get our feet into the puddles of Hell Kitchen. So if you've not seen it, come back later and the episode will be there waiting, and if not, then we're taking a break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So if you did not want that ad break, go down to the links below. There's lots of things you can subscribe for video, audio. You can join our Discord, which is fun. We have a Daredevil spoilers channel where once you've seen the episode, you can go in there and chat. And I'm sure there'll be lots of good memes going on. And yeah, you can join our Patreon where you get episodes ad-free, early and exclusive. You can get, well, I guess the retros were public, but still you get a lot of stuff. The Fantastic Four retrospective is exclusive there. You got 2 episodes of the Superman and kind of Supergirl retrospective dropping there. After 9 will be happening later on, and that's the best way to support us because you can make us do. I guess you can make us. You can make us do whatever you want. Some of those tiers, if you look at it, but you get the ability to have us create new content, and we very much appreciate that. And yeah, check out SideQuest. Me and Dylan did that this week. Kirklin and Taylor got Weekly Geek this week. We got Mickey 17 coming up. Me and the Gimmick Boys just reviewed The Chamber. We got a GM mode stream March 16th, so lots of stuff. That's why best thing to do is just subscribe, and we'll update you as things go along. So let's usually be kind of all over, but let's legitimately start at the beginning. Yeah, so I got a good laugh when Taylor was like, man, I was listening to his season 3 retrospective and he's talking about what his thoughts are for Born Again, and one of his last thoughts was like, man, I just can't wait to see what they do with Foggy because he's really grown to be my favorite character of the show. So the reason I was so confident, because like we don't know everything for sure. There are rumors in the original cut of the show that they killed them both, supposedly, Karen and Foggy, and then I guess for some reason we don't know. It's still just like Scooper madness of what happened. Of did they just want to keep Foggy dead, or some people have said that they shot too much of Foggy being dead that they couldn't reroute it, where maybe Karen was like savable, where you could add stuff, be like, okay, well, Karen didn't actually die. We don't know, and maybe we'll never know, or as the years go on, it'll come out. But that's where, like, apparently this had been the opening for a while. There's even stuff that like we don't even know if Bullseye was the one that originally killed Foggy. So that's what I mean. Like that felt like well, let's get the Netflix fans love Bullseye, so let's get him back. So that's why it's like we won't know for a while. But yes, they open up. They're at Josie's. They're having a good time. They just walked back from what the hell is it? Paige, Murdoch, and Nelson, whatever it is, right? They call
MNP.
it MNP. Yeah, and they're.
Did you just call it MNP?
The Foggy's talking to some girl that we'll meet later. What is her, McDermott, or what the hell their character, McDerrick?
You're close.
Whatever.
It's Murdoch's new partner.
Cool.
And
And then Foggy, and then Karen and Matt are talking. Seems like we don't know the status of what's going on with them. They kind of hint that they could go back and have a fun time. So I don't know if that's the first time, if they're friends with benefits, because if people don't remember, in season 3, they were not a couple when that show ended. They were very, like, Karen was not a big fan of Matt and had just forgiven him for all these bad things. So they're walking out. Foggy, and I agree with Taylor, it felt very rushed. Foggy gets this call. We don't get much of the situation. Foggy's just like withholding some witness or something. He kind of implies Matt hasn't been Daredevil for a while, so I got some more negatives about that. But then, lo and behold, Mr. Poindexter, great entrance. He kills a fly with a paperclip. Shout out to the 2003 Daredevil, because I just watched it again today. Colin Farrell's throwing paper clips everywhere in that fucking movie. So that was great. And then out of nowhere, you're getting smoke bombs. And then Foggy Nelson takes a sniper right pretty much to the heart. You know, like, he's not Dexter Morgan, so he's not surviving this. He wasn't in a cold environment, but most people get shot in the heart. They die. And we'll get to maybe the more overall scene. But yeah, Taylor, I'll start with you, who were saying Foggy might be your favorite character of the series. I don't know, 5 minutes in, dunzo.
Oh yeah, and that was in the back of my mind ever since ChatGPT even fucking threw it in the first episode, just him getting killed. Like, God damn it. So here we are. He's dead. He's fucking iced, and this is where I thought, okay, I thought he was. They were going to go
ice
through
him. He just looked at the actor in the room. We're going to ice you. I was like, okay.
I thought they were going to kill Karen Page off, to be honest, because I thought at this point he's just throwing a smoke grenade into the bar, and I thought this is all like the iconic locations we're always visiting and the people we're familiar with from that the first 3 seasons. So they're just,
and I don't know why
Disney
he
just
didn't
wants to-
shoot her either. He shot the 2 like people beside her like with precise
He was
accuracy.
yeah, and he
He
was
playing with
going
his food,
to.
right?
He was. I
He
guess,
was
yeah.
playing with his food, and I love that callback when he walks out. Hello, Karen. It's just this poor woman.
That was
just
great.
being
Yeah, 'cause
fucking traumatized.
if people don't remember, he does that to her twice in season 3 of "Hello, Karen. It's nice to see you again." Yeah, he didn't do that part, but I love Bullseye. Bullseye so much. When they're like, we might do a Bullseye show, I'm like, fuck yeah, give me this fucking weirdo for 8
Fuck
episodes. Let's see
Bullseye.
this-
Such
No,
a fucking
man.
boring character. Just
but-
an aimbot villain. Like it's
all the
so
stuff he
stupid.
throws though, Kirkland. Come on, no, he was great.
So
in season
boring.
Remember
It's like,
when
oh,
he
he's
takes-
gonna
See, like
throw it and hit
Hawkeye,
the
he's an
trash can,
aimbot
and then he's gonna
too, but you
snipe
don't like
someone
Bullseye?
from 3 hours away.
Exactly.
But
Oh,
when
get
he
him in
takes the
Hawkeye.
glass
This is
chandelier
egregious, though.
pieces. Oh.
Yeah, he throws him. Even in this episode,
fuck
all that shit
Bullseye.
he was throwing at Matt, like Bullseye's the best.
And
man.
when you
He's
see how
awesome.
many knives
So
were in
boring.
Daredevil 2 in the
Oof.
beginning of this episode, it's like, holy fuck, he's just like coated
He
in-
knifed everyone. He
in
got a lot of
shit.
civilians.
He knifed everyone, yeah.
Throw 8
Yeah, was it
balls at
9?
people.
And he was 9 people, I think they said.
people
Yeah.
dead?
Yeah.
No, I think it was 11 because I thought they said 11 counts. So I think he killed. I think he got to double digits. Bullseye. Point
That's
Dexter,
not
man.
counting everyone that he's
He's the
already
best.
murdered in the other show. Like it's
No.
just so
I
ridiculous.
just know there are
That's
those
crazy.
two.
Why? Okay, no, stop. Why is it ridiculous? What's ridiculous about it?
Because he throws a fucking knife, like hits a garbage can, and then it flies like a mile and snipes someone's in the head. Everything he
he's got
throws is just gonna
superpowers
hit.
though now.
It's so stupid though.
He
Like,
does
Have
have
you seen the other
superpowers now.
40 projects in the MCU? Like, I'm surprised that that's
now
where
he
you
has
draw the line of what's realistic. Like,
because
pretty
it's
much
all that's all the character is he just only hits dead eyes. Like that's just it's so boring.
First
I
of
hate
all,
Bullseye.
it's not all the character. He does miss sometimes with Matt. And second of all, there's a whole backstory about him being abused as a kid and all this other stuff. So there's a season 3 retro you could listen to, Kirkland, that you talked about. There's more to Bullseye than just the throw-in. You know,
Oh, I'm so done with that guy.
he's gonna be back. He's gonna be.
Oh,
back.
I know he's gonna be back because they
Can't
fucking
wait.
kept him alive.
Yeah.
That caught me off guard too. But with everything with Foggy, yeah, it does suck. It hurts because I really thought they were gonna give him a little bit more to do at least before they axe him. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And now I feel like at this point, like Karen might as well have been killed off too because she's just out and gone now.
Yeah.
It feels like, again, I'll hold my breath. We gotta wait to see the rest of the show. I understand that, but it just feels like she's really out and gone, especially now because and we'll talk more about it. They've replaced the love interest. They've replaced the work affiliates and everything like that.
Yes.
So Matt's got a whole new bubble he's in.
yeah, do you think we'll see Karen much the rest of this season? Like, or is she like season 2, or they like maybe even punish her? Like, they kept her alive for a reason, but like as you mentioned, they sticked her in San Fran. So I don't really think we'll see her in this. Like, it doesn't seem like she'll be a part of it, but they still wanted to keep her up in case they want to bring her back at some point.
I would say 1 to 2 more episodes. I could see an episode where she's a small part, then maybe a big part. I would hope, especially with Frank coming back. She's always tied to Frank. If you obviously you two did down below didn't watch Punisher, but she's also in Punisher, and her and Frank have some stuff going on there. So I feel like at least 1 more episode, I'll say. But that's for me. You know, folks, be careful what you wish for. Because I said in the predictions, I'm fine if Foggy goes. Kill Foggy. I think you've done everything you can with that character. You know, and I wanted more screen time with Matt. But what Taylor just alluded to, this is what I'm pissed. It's like, okay, if we killed Foggy and then we wrote Karen out of the show just to have a new Karen and new Foggy, that's where the show is taking down major marks for me. Because the guy that is the cop that saw him take the mask off, he is just operating what Karen used to do. She'd always be investigating stuff, getting information from Matt. Oh, Fisk has this amount of votes. That's that. And then like Taylor said, the work affiliate that's, setting Matt up on a date, or here's a client. That's what Foggy would do. So now to me, now I'm completely against the idea of killing Foggy, because for my idea was kill Foggy and just take that type of character out. Just leave it more with Matt. Like, there's so much to do with Matt Murdock as a character. You don't always need to have like 5 different side characters. Even if I like some of them, it's like, the show is still called Daredevil, right? So it should be, like I always say, like the Dexter method, the early seasons where Michael C. Hall was majority of that show. And that's what I prefer when the show's called Daredevil. So now it's like I have the same kind of problems, but then with characters I care less about. And I, like, again, like Taylor said, we're 2 episodes in, so maybe I'll grow to love them. But like, I don't think I'm going to like the retired cop more than Karen. I don't think I'm going to like McDermott or whatever more than Foggy. So it just feels like, was it like a money issue where these people wanted like, hey, like we want to come back as full characters? Like, well, we only want to do this. So that to me is a huge disappointment for the show so far. So
Yeah, that's a good criticism. I think, I guess for me, I really just got to wait and see like what these characters evolve with and what their actual story and backstory is and the things they get up to, because maybe we'll take a turn there. So far, I don't really have an issue with it because they seem like kind of minor characters in there. But yeah, they'll definitely be in every episode. They'll always have some subplot tied to them too. So good point. Like, why are we introducing new people when we already had people in those same shoes? Other than like, obviously, you need a huge inciting event to kick Matt into this new era where he's ready to kill people and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, we'll get there. I don't
Yeah,
know if we do.
I feel like for me, like having the opening go that way, where Foggy just gets murked by my least favorite villain
Iced.
that's ever been in the MCU.
Oh,
It just felt like, no, that's hyperbolic. It just felt like the most rushed way to just separate last season to this season. And to me, it's like, honestly, have Foggy die between shows. Like, just have the start of this show, like literally the opening of like Kingpin walking in on Vanessa. Like, I just feel like that would honestly lift it up for me, because they showed it to me. They showed the three of them walking together, and I'm like, oh man, we're doing it. Like we're doing the show again. This is awesome. We're gonna have these characters.
He kind of
all
got
these
Maria
years.
Hill in Secret Invasion, didn't he?
Yes, exactly. And that's
The
why
Nick
they've been.
Fury smile, that's Bullseye.
That's why I try and say non-spoilers if you're a big fan of that, because they've been previewing like, oh, the gang's back,
Yeah.
the fam's back, and it's like, no, they're not. They're not actually back, because one's dead and one moved away. So it's
So-
like, that's why I feel like it's kind of a ploy to advertise it as like,
Oh,
you
for
missed
sure.
these three,
And like the fact that it just happened that fast, it's just like, I feel like there's gonna be many people that are gonna be sour about that. And yes, it is Daredevil show, but I feel like the original Netflix show, like it's pretty much, I mean, Foggy was always the third, but like Karen was such a big part of that. Like you already mentioned, Travis, like this new Cherry character, like he's just kind of filling in that role. So
Yeah.
it's almost egregious to even show it at the start of the show. Like I would have rather them just not even be a part of it. Like Foggy, okay, he died. We can have him still dead. Karen moved away because of that, and that's just the start of the show. Like we don't have to have them in here. I'm hoping that Karen comes back in a more meaningful way, but honestly, I don't see it till season 2. I don't think we're gonna see her again this season.
And Kirklin said worst MCU character villain. Like, come on, Darben, come on.
I said, I like to be extreme sometimes with my hyperboles, but
So did you not enjoy the fight then either that we got that pursued for throughout?
It was
the,
pretty cool.
Josie's
It was
bar?
pretty cool. It felt different than Netflix for sure. Like just the wider shot. It just felt like they were, I don't know, hiding, maybe lack of choreography.
They're on a soundstage for
Is
sure.
that extreme? Yeah.
No, it's yeah.
The
they're
lighting
like-
looked really cool, and like a big
Yeah.
positive. I will say for the show overall, I feel like the sound design is like up another level. Like I always thought it was really cool when we would hear from Matt's perspective of like little things, but I just felt in these first 2 episodes, it's just like they had a multiplier on it, and I'm like, holy crap! Like this is like modern audio.
Dude, my subwoofer with Foggy's heartbeat was going crazy. But
Yeah,
it was quite immersive.
I had goosebumps. Like it was so well done, and throughout the two episodes, I thought it was phenomenal. Every time we would go to Matt's perspective, whether he's following the cop in episode 2, just the footsteps, like it just seems like it is another level on something that I already thought was such a cool thing to have in the show. So definitely, there's positives in this for sure. But I'm just getting out of the way with this opening, because this was just so rough for me, and to have it starting, that's when I'm like, oh man. Weekly episodes of this, like I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it was a long opening for sure. I mean, we got the credits 17 minutes in. That kind of threw me off. I had to
Oh,
pause
really?
and
Wow.
just to see where it was. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it was. I really enjoyed that whole sequence. I think they're trying to bridge the gap between, okay, this is something new. It's been a long time. Presumably, a lot of the people making this are very different than the people who are making that last one, but they still want to pay homage to what that was, and that's why you bring back those characters, even if Foggy only gets a few minutes. And that's why you bring back someone like Bullseye for that opening, that classic MCU. Everything needs a fight in the first 10 minutes. Like every single movie has that same structure, right? And so you bring back a character that was in those, like a legacy character from those shows. And then I think even the same thing. It's like this wasn't, there was a hallway involved in this, and it wasn't necessarily that same hallway scene that we've seen before, but it was that same sort of idea of like, let's do one long continuous take. And of course there's different ways they cheat that and break that shot throughout it. But I really enjoyed that. I loved seeing once again, what made me feel more realistic than like other MCU action fights is like, oh yeah, they just need to take a few seconds to just fucking breathe and like catch their breath in the middle of this fight. There's like that desperation of like, oh yeah, these are just 2 guys, and yes, they can throw cue balls and bounce it off the wall and headshot people, and yes, he can like hear people through walls and stuff. Like they're not regular human beings, but still, like compared to other superheroes who have extended stamina and regenerative techniques. Like these guys are a little bit more realistic in that way. And so I really enjoyed that sequence and just like them slowly chipping away at each other as they go up the steps. And as you mentioned, Taylor, just like all the knives sticking out of Matt by the end of it. I really enjoyed that. I think the only thing that is a little bit off is like this. It's funny, Travis, in the predictions you were like, I want Matt to like fly around more. I want to be more agile, and he is. But then the CGI on that doesn't look amazing in my opinion when he's doing all his crazy Spider-Man type moves. But for the most part, I really enjoyed this fight scene. I thought it was just a lot of fun in terms of the set piece of it and like the props and all of that. I had a really great time with it.
Yeah, and see, that's where I'm fine, because, like, the trouble happens, and then he becomes Daredevil. I'm fine with the CGI. Like, actually, like, I don't want any CGI to look iffy, but, like, if I have to, him flying around, using the batons to swing, I get that. Might not look the smoothest. For me, it's like when Daredevil and Bullseye are in the bar, they're fighting, and they go from looking like people to, like, very slimy and sticky, and I don't think they're CGI, but I think there's so much around them, different people, smoke, the background that's CGI, that it just doesn't look natural anymore. So for me, that was always the fun thing with the old Netflix one takes was, okay, obviously they did trickery, but it's always like, oh, we're going to switch, like, Charlie Cox and a stunt double here, or we're going to knock the camera here and then come back up. This, to me, was just like, you can just put a camera anywhere and like, oh, we're using trickery because it's like computer animation, like trickery. It's like, oh, well, like if you just throw like fake smoke up there, it just, for me, it lost all of the kind of magic that had, to the point where I'm like, I hope they never do this again. If you can't do it the right way, I don't want that. In concept, I like the fight, like everything from fighting all the way from the bottom to the roof of Josie's. I like the idea of just Bullseye just killing people at any chance he takes, like knives, whatever. He's just like a psychopath. I loved hearing the heartbeat throughout the fight. Like, okay, it's getting slower and slower. The roof, even though the buildings look a little like, again, in Netflix Daredevil, the real buildings here, it's clearly like a backdrop soundstage or just the volume, whatever it may be. One of these things where there's just missing some authenticness to it, but no, it's great. And I bought, like, again, Daredevil's similar to like a Batman character where he doesn't kill people, but in this moment I could buy it because he's so upset and he pushes them, and they kind of get to do a cheat, right, where he killed them, but like apparently Bullseye has like resurrection powers now. But still, in my opinion, it's like, no, he tried to kill a guy and he crossed that line. He even says that later on in the episode, right? So I thought it was a great opening. Like I said, I'm bummed that we're doing the whole I don't want to be Daredevil thing again. We did that in Defenders. We did that in Daredevil season 3. And because I guarantee you, like, maybe Kirklin and Taylor might remember. I just watched as well, but I don't remember any point, like, okay, he has the Man in Black costume. He takes down Fisk. They talk about reopening, like a new law agency, blah, blah, blah. But, like, the show doesn't end with, like, Matt in the costume again standing over New York or anything like that. Like, they never say like he's going to go back to being Daredevil, I recall, right? It's just kind of like they took down Fisk. So to me, it's like I felt like they almost did the Foggy or whatever this opening, be like, well, we got to do a way to like make it so he's not Daredevil again. But the old show never said he was Daredevil again. So you could just say, hey, since then, he actually hasn't been Daredevil. Oh, no, because fuck the MCU, because he's been Daredevil in She-Hulk and Spider-Man. Fuck, I forgot. It's the same way as like, I hate that there's a subplot with like Kingpin's eye from like Echo and Hawkeye. I'm like, right, we have to deal with this baggage that he got shot in the head, and that doesn't work. So, right, that's why they have to do that. But it's just, that's what's frustrating to me. It's just, it's kind of a boring route. We've done this before, and I just feel like this is your first time back in 7 years. Like, I wonder what Charlie Cox must have felt like. What do you got for me? It's like, well, it's the same story again, but it's a little bit different because this time Foggy died. And same thing, it's like, he's going to go, like we all know, he's going to go on, he's going to become Daredevil. He still crossed that line. Foggy's still dead. Nothing's changed. So just be Daredevil. But no, we got still 3 more episodes of him being Matt, and Netflix shows obsessed with him not being Daredevil.
I feel like by the end of this episode, we're already at that point.
I mean, in the costume though. I don't think he'll be in the costume for a little bit. I think like probably. So what? It's 9 episodes. I'd say maybe episode 4 the earliest. I think he's going to be doing a lot of Matt fighting. I think you can have Punisher in there for some sequences. I don't think he's getting the costume back. I think he just had to fight out of necessity because they're going to kill him, right? But I didn't take that as like, I'm getting the suit on. It's going to propel him a little, but I think just like the original show, and I just didn't need it again. It's the exact same storyline we've done on many. So it just feels like like Matt Murdock is just like such a Cox tease, just like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be Daredevil anymore. Trust me, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess I have less issue with that because well, to me, whether or not he gets the suit on next episode doesn't really matter. I feel like we've already kicked back to the point though where like he's vigilante mode. That's kind of what I'm more concerned about, and the fact that they intentionally bundled these 2 episodes to make that just like the act 1, I think is a good call, and I think it was like a really great call to skip 1 year later, right? And like sure there could be some good stuff in there, and we could always do flashbacks, I guess, and I mean, I want to say that it would be fun to see some of the Matt and like Karen stuff, but it sounds like they just weren't talking to each other, and that's why their relationship withered and is where it's at. So maybe there's nothing to show there anyway. But I think like that could have been, if that was like the first season that we're getting, and the second season was like where we're at now, I think that could have been a very dry, dull show, of course, of them just being depressed about their friend's death. So I think it was a smart move to kind of do that thing. So I guess if you look at it that way, like, yeah, hasn't been Daredevil for a long time, but we just kind of skip it as a viewer and get into like the more interesting stuff. And to me, that makes sense. And especially back to what you were saying, Kirkland, which is like, oh yeah, this is a shorter episode run than we've had with the show previously. So how are we going to go about that? And I think it feels like they took what could have been 4 or 5 episodes and like crunched it down to 1 or 2 here, and then we can get into like the juicy stuff. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how they set up like that side of the storyline. I think with some of the Kingpin stuff is maybe where I'm more iffy, but I'm pretty happy with where that stuff set us up with the kind of 2-in-1 premiere.
Any thoughts on that, or ready to move on?
On the intro, just how like after
or just like death? Matt not being Daredevil again. Yeah, because we talked about Foggy dying, but yeah, just the intro. Any thoughts on that before we move on 1 year later?
I feel like it's close to season 3 where something happens, like, you know what, I'm no longer Daredevil, and he just ghosts his friends, continues on for a little bit, and that's that. Of course, they skipped over that with the year, but it just feels like it's very similar.
Because Karen said he did ghost her, right? So he did. Yeah, he did the exact same thing he's done every time. Where he's like,
that's his classic MO. Yeah, he ghosts. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. We got the time jump. He's started up his new firm with, I can't remember the name of the lady, but the lady that was flirting with Foggy in the bar. So they've got their firm together, Murdoch and something or other. But
McDoogie.
What is it?
McDoogie.
Her name's McDoogie?
Yeah. No, McDuffie. I got it wrong. I had to double check.
I didn't know her name's McDoogie.
As soon as I said it with so much confidence, it sounded odd, so I had to double check.
She would have had a terrible time in elementary school. Hey, McDoogie. And then like everybody spin at him, If we
have any listener with the last name McDoogie, it's a great name. Okay.
It is. We'll give you, if you can prove it, send me ID. I'll give you a free month of Patreon right there.
Don't send him your ID. Don't do it.
With address.
Send me everything. Social insurance number. Yeah.
But yeah, everything going on with Fisk too. That was kind of interesting to see how that picks up. Because I mean, at the end of season 3, I thought that it concluded very much in a way that, hey, we're gonna get another season, because it was so abrupt. It's just like, I want to say goodbye to my wife, and then he was thrown in the cop car. He couldn't say goodbye, and it's like, okay, that's it. And then we get an operation
because now she's fucking another dude. So
well, that's right, Andy. Like, goddamn, like
right. That's why your name was Andy. I forgot.
My name's Andy. I know about Andy. He's like, don't kill him.
Oh, Andy's done for. He's not survived. He's getting foggied.
No, he's already dead.
I'm pretty sure that when they showed Fisk in his mayor's office and you see his knuckles, his
knuckles were bloody.
Andy's fucked.
And he's dead. Oh yeah, no.
I was looking for the credits or the subtitles.
Yeah, they only panned over it a little bit, but yeah, his right hand was all bloody, like the knuckles were all bruised and everything. So Andy's gone. It's gonna be like well, he's already lying. Episode 2, he tells first episode, I'm not gonna do anything. Episode 2 is like, hey, is this your secret son? Like, he's already back to his old deeds. Like, it did, and that's probably because, again, reduced episode. But it's like, not even 20 minutes later, he's like beating this guy to death. Probably he's blackmailing the police now. Like, he's already back to Kingpin. So,
and that's the poetic aspect to this, I think, because they're trying to keep it in synchronized with Daredevil, right?
Yes.
Because he's back to his ways, and it's just going to be them. Oh, we've come up and we're in different parts now, different places, and they're just reverting back to their old ways. It's the way they're going to unravel this story, which is fine. I think it's going to be fun to see whether or not Kingpin went into this thinking he was changed and thinking he was going to be a better man for it, or did he go into this role because he has a larger game plan and something kind of in the works. And to be honest, I like this Kingpin more because I like that. Okay, Vanessa Fisk is like, hey, I've got this.
You
this
like
is
cut
bulletproof.
Kingpin, eh? That's what
Yeah,
you like.
yeah. I like him watching. I just think that
No, Vanessa.
this crime syndicate that's been set up by Vanessa and having the money and everything that's bulletproof, no gray area, and so you have Fisk, which it feels like a Fisk is. He's still very, very powerful, but he still has a certain amount of limitation with what he's accessible to and what he's doing. It's not just like season 3 where it's like they get an Agent Deem on his side, then boom, it's got like half the fucking FBI and the United States of
Taylor's
America on
wrong
his
with
side.
that. No, that's not how it went. He had those people before he had Nadeem. You and your revisionist history of season 3.
That's what I
wish was
said.
on
That's
that
what I
metro.
said.
No,
Because
no.
they got Nadeem, and then it's like, revealed, he's got half the fucking FBI working for him, and it's like, this is just way over the top.
Kirkland and
crazy.
Taylor thought Kingpin was working on a 2-year plan. His plan was over the top. This man spent over 700 days on a plan. Like, I don't know where the backstory is. 700 days of working on this plan, and who knows? That's what I'm curious with. Not to argue about season 3. I'm curious with this. I hope we get an answer of was he trying to do good or was he not? Because from all we've seen of Kingpin in the MCU, Hawkeye and Echo, he's just still bad guy, right? So if it's not revealed that he has a master bad plan, if you want to do good, why? Like, all we've seen of him so far, and we haven't seen like a reason of why he'd want to turn good. It wasn't like he got back to New York and saw something. He just got back to New York as like, I want to be mayor because they want to do good for the city. It's like, okay, why? So I'm waiting to see on that storyline. So
And when did he get out of prison? Do we know?
like in season 3.
No, because in season 3 he was going to
He's
prison.
going
No,
to
but I mean like
prison at the
since
end.
that from that point you're
Since
talking about, right?
then, yeah, he's out. He got his 25K signatures.
Yeah, that's tough because they say they're. I don't know when it was. They said there was 5 years, like obviously 7 in real life, but 5 years in between the show. So I don't know if they mean like it was 5 years and then we jumped a year, so it's actually 6 years. But even then, let's just say it's 5. At some point in those 5 years, he got out, and then he was after Eleanor and Echo and all that, and then he got shot. So like a lot of stuff has happened in that time. So I don't know how he did get out, but Kingpin always finds a way. Like
He
Jurassic
runs all the
Park.
prisons in the country, so he's fine.
Runs all the prisons,
Yeah, he had
that's
another
right.
2-year plan. Yeah, 100%.
So my last question here then, with Kingpin, I believe him. He didn't obviously deal with Dexter and Poindexter doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Was that a Vanessa thing, do you think, or like was it just him doing? He was just pissed off because I don't know if. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Dex ever know that Murdoch was Daredevil?
No. They actually
Okay,
didn't
'cause
interact that much at all. They fought
this-
twice and that was it. So
this
that's what's
attack,
odd.
this attack to me, I don't think it was set up to lure Daredevil away from Foggy. It was just at the end of the day, it was just the guy was being questioned where Foggy's location was, and he
Yeah.
told Bullseye where Foggy was. So this seems like a vendetta just to go fuck Foggy up, right?
And it feels weird because like in season 3, like Foggy's like not after Poindexter. Like his name gets revealed, but it's them after Kingpin. So it's just like Dexter was mad at like any lawyer who was like in the vicinity. So it didn't make much sense. I'm glad that they made the reason Matt give up Daredevil is because he killed somebody. At first I thought it was like, I got Foggy killed. It's like, well, no, like even then he asked him why, and Bullseye didn't even say anything. He just kind of laughed at him. So I don't know. That's where that feels like, again, that feels like a rewrite add-on of like, well, let's just get Bullseye in here, and people love that, and it's a cool fight, and yet
The fact he's still alive makes me hope that we'll get an explanation
Yes.
for that, because it didn't make sense at all unless he's just really trying to fuck with Karen out of everyone, right? Because he did interact with Karen. Good to see you
Yeah.
again, Karen.
That was his white whale, right? In season 3, the
he could never
church.
get her.
No.
He aimed for Karen
That's
in
true.
that
He's-
moment. Then he got Foggy, and he's like, "Fuck, can't get her."
he's still trying to impress Fisk after all this stuff. But yeah, and that was the disappointing thing. He didn't even talk in the trial. He was just very
He did.
quiet. Give it to
What'd he
Wilson
say?
Bithell.
No comment or whatever.
No
he
comment,
said.
Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Okay, sorry, he did. I guess he talked then. He said some words, but like he said nothing of note. But shout out to Wilson Bithell's looking fucking jacked. I said to Emily, like his neck, he looks like he could just crunch Daredevil up with that. Like he's looking jacked. So yeah, I really hope he's back, but I worry it's the same thing as Karen and Foggy, where he's gone and like, yeah, maybe in the future we'll bring him back, but he's just in jail somewhere working on his 2-year plan, So
Yeah, I found it funny that they're like multiple times in this episode, or both these episodes, they're like, we're not in Hell's Kitchen anymore. We're in this new part of New York. That's like how they justify all these changes. Like, I guess New York's big. I've never been there, but like, I don't know how if it's that big that we can really justify just like all of these changes happening across just, I don't know, half an hour away or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Dylan, you said, because we're kind of talking about, what were your issues with Fisk? Now he's back. He's here. He's mayor. I was surprised he won mayor episode 1. I thought this could maybe be a little longer, which is fine. I'm not complaining,
Yeah.
but I was like just surprised it ended with, oh, here we go. But yeah, how you feeling about Fisk so far?
Yeah, I don't think I really have issues necessarily. I just don't think I'm as intrigued by the storyline thus far. Well, I think maybe it's more so with like some of the side characters. I just feel like some of them are a little too cheesy for my liking. Like the kind of like incel like younger guy who's like, oh, this guy knows what the kids want, so he'll be like our
Yeah,
I don't know,
Yeah.
our delegate for the young kids or something like that. So we'll see what happens with all that stuff. I think the section that I did really enjoy, I mean, one, like the diner chat, I thought was really great. Of course, that was teed up in the trailers there, but I thought that was really fantastic. Just like the way it started, and they were actually kind of jovial or getting along to some extent, but then the way it just kind of fizzled out of there, and how I love how much Matt was holding back and not really giving too much information, but just like little notes, like commenting that he knew about like the whole Echo thing, and obviously he was in that show too, but yeah, getting just like little notes like that, and then when it kind of gets to the point of them really just declaring war on each other but without saying it, I thought was really engaging. So that whole sequence was good. And then I like the stuff with the commissioner. Like there was only the two scenes there, but I thought that was one, I really like just having someone like stand up to him, like at the funeral there. But then when we get back to the office, and then with the kind of blackmail there, and the way it was just such a personal attack, I thought was just really great writing, really good like kind of subtle acting, I guess, from Donna Frio there. So that there's parts of it I'm enjoying for sure, but I just got to get further in and see where this goes, because I think what you were saying, Travis, of just like how obvious they're being with the comparison point here and the commentary they're trying to make. Like, I guess I'm in that boat of like, I don't know if I really need this. Like, I maybe want like a slightly more nuanced take, and I don't know if we're going to get that. So
Yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see, especially if it's already, if there's only 7 more episodes and we're already too deep,
Just the verbiage, I feel like, is literally what is happening with the Trump stuff, right? Whether you like it or not, it's just like it's literal quotes that people have said, and they're saying it there. I'm fine with it because I've said this before. I remember reading comics back in the day, and Lex Luthor would be president or Fisk would go be mayor. I'd be like, oh, that's not really that believable. Like, who would vote for this guy? And now I'm like, okay, well, now we actually live in this world. So it is kind of timely. So I get that. But yeah, you're right with the diner scene. One of my favorite scenes in film history is Heat, when Al Pacino, the cop, sits down with De Niro, the bank robber. They know each other's after each other, and it's just like a 10-minute conversation. And there's just all this just kind of, they're relating, but it's like, I'm going to take you down, I'm going to take you down. And that's what this was. This, we got the benefit of, there's 3 seasons worth of history there. And no, I thought it was great. I think they went through all the layers. I thought everyone was just fantastic here. And yeah, this is like, to me, so far, like a bullet of we don't have many MCU projects, but next year, Golden Geeks, like, that was a great way to start the episode. And that's what I mean. This show has some things that I think are outstanding, and that whole scene. And I liked that it wasn't just like a 2-minute, oh, you're back, I'm back, watch, I'm gonna get you, oh, I'll get you. It was a nice extended talking about everything. Kingpin felt like somewhat like sympathetic towards Foggy passing away. Like, he didn't say it in like a face rubbing way. He just said, oh, after a tragedy that changes a man and stuff. And even when he just called him, he's like, oh, Murdoch, and he hits his hand on the table. Like, you can see he's like a little, like, he's waiting to pop out there, and you'd love to see that old Kingpin, but not yet. But yeah, I'm curious what's going to happen, and just a fantastic scene. And so far, I'm liking all this stuff. The mayor stuff has to be rushed. I am curious of how far we get into him being like bad again, because there is a thing of like, what can you do with Fisk if he is just trying to be a good mayor, right? Like, that could just be a kind of boring show at times. Like, you want to see him, and like I said, already in episode 2, he's blackmailing people. I absolutely love the niece of Yurik being in here. That's such a nice little touch. And man, I hope some way, one way or another, she takes him down or does do some damage, because he fucking destroyed Ben Urik's neck and head in season 1. So it's great. That's what I was gonna ask you guys. Do you think she knows? Like, obviously wouldn't know, but do you think that she knows the scuttlebutt of Fisk is the one that killed him, or do you think that's something that she's going to discover? Taylor, you're shaking your head no? You think
she'll discover. And this is something I wish we had more Karen Page kind of popping in here with, because her and Ben had such a rich kind of dynamic together, right? In that season, going and exploring into Fisk's origins. So I think it's really a damn shame that she's not around to kind of meet with her and yeah, just kind of like build up that narrative a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think she knows, because if she knew, I think she wouldn't have had that meeting with Fisk, or if she does know, she played that immensely cool. And I'm curious what that question was that she was going to pitch to Fisk about Vanessa. If she's like, hey, I heard about
Who's
Andy.
Andy? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think I'm excited to see where her story goes, though.
Yeah, Ben Urich, I feel like was such a pivotal
There you go.
just
That one.
character for Karen's journey. Like
Yes.
even when she's working with like Ben's boss, like later on, like they always just kind of like refer, or like he mentions that he sees Ben's aspects in her, like when she's just hungry for getting the true story out there and everything, and just the whole reckless investigative nature that she has. So the fact that she's not in the show and we're getting Ben Urich's niece, it's just like, man, like fuck guys, like we had her there, like just give her
Especially
some
'cause,
more
like,
money if that was the dispute.
Like, what is Ben Urich's niece doing? She's doing journalism. What did Karen Page do for 2.5 seasons? She was a fucking journalist.
She
Like,
forgot all about though when she
yeah.
was working with
She
the
didn't
lawyers,
even
right?
change Ben's office. It's the same.
Yeah, the setup's right there of
Yeah.
what has she been doing the past year? Well, she left, Murdoch and Nelson. She's back to being a journalist, and she met up with that. Maybe that would play into the, like, Fisk. She would know about Fisk, obviously, because I feel like Karen Wright would be like, hey, your uncle, he got snatched up. But again, maybe I may be wrong. Maybe hopefully that's a way that you could intertwine them, right? As far as a way where, like, Matt meets the little Urich or whatever, and like maybe that's the way where I'm hoping in episode 4 or 5 they meet, and that's how Karen is in for the back half. So that's again, we're only in episode 2, so I'm gonna hold wait. I'm gonna feel like she does know, because I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like she is playing coy on purpose and trying to get in there, and I don't really know what it benefited. I guess Fisk got that information about the cop retiring, or the commissioner retiring. I don't know what she got out of it really, other than just, like, I don't know, get to meet Fisk. But it felt like a scratch my back, scratch yours, and she didn't really get anything. Like, not even like an interview with him. It was just, hey, that commissioner's retiring, and the cops are gonna hate you, and look out because they control the cops. So. Kirk, I want to ask you, how do you feel about the Vanessa stuff? Because that was a big hang up for you in the retrospect. We're in a situation where, okay, so Fisk came back. We don't know the last time they spoke. I think she said like something like a year or something like that. So I guess, I don't know why he gets shot, and he said, oh, I couldn't talk to you, Vanessa. I don't know why he couldn't just still keep in contact, text Vanessa. Like, I don't know, if I get shot and I'm getting like super crazy superhero surgery, I'll still text Emily and be like, yeah, eyes coming back. Like, I can see a little bit better. So it just feels like it's drawn for the sake of drama, but they set up that while he was gone, Vanessa was running everything, running it very well. He, again, we don't know why, wants to be legitimate, so he's going to run for mayor. And there's just a weird, funk in the air. They do reveal at the end of episode 1 she was having an affair with, Andy, as mentioned. Don't know how the public doesn't know, like, she was still running like criminal stuff, so I don't know how Fisk was like cleared of all this. Like, everyone knows what Fisk was doing, and when like she's like, "Oh, well, I'm running a very special type of business," it's like, well, why are you being so
she
obvious?
mentions to Fisk that she made it bulletproof. It's nice easy way to
I
just cover all the
guess,
tracks.
Sure, yeah, but
All this
yeah,
business is bulletproof. But
She
yeah.
cut
Now
the fat and added more muscle.
she did. But now they're in therapy with, who we'll talk about later, Matt's new girlfriend. So they got therapy going on. So how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, Vanessa was just such a meme throughout the whole Daredevil show, because that was just Wilson's kryptonite. Like it seems like no matter what, if Vanessa was there, like, he's just not thinking straight, or he's just like compromising his own criminal mastermind for just trying to, I don't know, just trying to appease to Vanessa. And I really didn't love that quality at all to Fisk. So I'm actually really intrigued by this, on hoping that he gets through the puppy dog eyes when it comes to Vanessa. I'm hoping that by the end of this he actually is more against her, because I feel like she is gonna, like, they're doing therapy, but there's just something that the way that his entrance to that meeting went, and just her kind of like cold shoulder towards him has been from the start of this show. I feel like she still thinks that maybe everything was better without him in it, which is interesting, because I don't feel like that was really like a big quality of hers from the original Daredevil show.
Not at
And
all. They were madly in love with each other.
And I think, like, there might be, you could argue there is glimpses to it, like when she just starts to like I want to be more involved in your business and like know everything, and then she starts making moves, especially like around Poindexter,
Yeah.
and just stuff around there. Like it seems like she is making calls without like asking Wilson, so there is glimpses to it, but it's just such a jump, I think, to go from that to this. And again, to play devil's advocate to myself, like there's 5 years there that like a lot can happen between that. If you never see this guy for, I guess, just 1 year, it's a little bit less of an Andy. Yeah,
Andy.
I'm sure there's
we
multiple
didn't
Andys
meet
coming
Andy,
and going.
right?
No.
Okay, he's not one of
Heard
those
he's
monsters at
handsome,
the
though.
table or anything like that. So
Well, tracksuit guy was given like they kept focusing the camera on him, so I'd have
That's
to
what I was
see.
wondering,
I have
yeah.
to go back and visit what they were calling each other at the table and see if maybe when Andy's there.
I hope Vanessa finds Andy the same way Poindexter found whatever her name was, Helen or Julie.
Julie.
whatever, like,
Julie.
just frozen
In
in,
the
a freezer somewhere, and she
She'll
drives
put
out
him
with
in
his
the
body.
car. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, I don't think they're not gonna make it, and I'm not gonna say Fisk is gonna kill her, but I would not be surprised if we go down this route, to be honest. Because then what happens when you got a Wilson Fisk who's a criminal again, and there's no Vanessa? There's nothing to hang over his head. There's not that. Oh, we can
That's what I
always
want.
get her.
Because we
And
haven't
that's,
had
I
that
think-
throughout the whole
yeah.
Dexter show, or Daredevil show.
Yeah, Dexter too.
I got
Dexter
Poindexter
too.
in my mind now. But like in season 1, you get like a little bit. I can't even remember how many episodes it is before Vanessa gets introduced, but like there's a little glimpse there of just that like criminal mastermind kingpin type guy who's not just swooning over Vanessa and her art. And
Funny enough, I think the first time you see Kingpin, though, it's when he's with Vanessa. He's like looking at art or something. So like,
Well, there
you
you
get
go.
you
You
get
got me.
episodes of his voice without that. But even then, he's not with her. But no, I think you might get what you want to. Because also remember another weird situation that she wasn't even playing Vanessa when they started this show, like Born Again, and then they reshot and they recast and they brought the original actress back. So
That's interesting.
that makes me wonder, like, how much was Vanessa really a part of that original cut? And that's why I wonder if Vanessa's time is not going to be long with us, because it's like, well, yeah, bring her back because we're just going to kill her off and make the Netflix fans happy. But, or maybe she tries to sell him out. I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a tipping point to Kingpin again, getting maybe even worse than that. And Superman Mike is, yes, he brought this up in our Discord, but we still know how Kingpin got out of prison season 3. I just take it as he's Kingpin. Something always happens. I did mention, Mike, that like, we kind of disagreed on the wording of it, but Matt said that if he ever told the world that he was Daredevil or went after Karen or Foggy, then he would put Vanessa in prison. But that to me was the promise. And technically, that's why Kingpin said, like, well, I had nothing to do with Foggy dying. So technically, Kingpin has kept his word that he didn't hurt those two and he hasn't told the world who Matt is, But at this point, it's like, Matt, maybe Vanessa's got to go to prison still. But let's take an ad break and we'll keep talking about this. We'll be right back. And we are back. So who has some other thoughts on Vanessa and the therapy, that stuff? Or not at all. We can move on.
I would love to hear what Taylor's theory was with the audio, with the subtitles and all that.
Yeah.
So the scene was Kirsten set up Matt on a date, right, with the therapist. I can't remember the therapist's name, but they're talking and they're at the coffee shop, and then she's about to leave. He's like, "No, sit down." And they all share a laugh, and then she's like, "So where'd you go to school?" And then the music, the sound faded out here, but the caption says, and Matt's response was Xavier's, and I was like, "What?"
No.
That's what it says in the closed
Well,
caption. I kid you
Yeah,
not.
I know, but like he's not.
it is what he said. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sure. He went to Xavier's, but what you're asking is, no, I don't think he was pounding around with the X-Men or the mutants at any point in this MCU. Like, he's not a mutant, so he wouldn't.
Why would they say Xavier's though?
Maybe
That's
there's a
just
school in
weird
New York
thing.
Xavier's. Like.
But when I
not
googled
mutants.
where he went to school in the Netflix show, it's labeled clearly. Like I think he was like Harvard or whatever, Columbia. I think.
I thought it
Columbia
was
State.
Harvard or something. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird why they would change that.
maybe that he meant
Here
his
you
high
go,
school.
Here you go, Taylor. Xavier High School is a Catholic high school
Boom.
in New York.
Boom.
Boom.
Literally, just as I said high school, right there.
Who was the owner? Is it a Charles?
Charles Xavier.
Very Catholic.
Magnus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the other thing I'll be interested.
Good pull.
Sorry,
Good
yeah.
pull, Taylor.
Yeah, good pull. Good job. I'll be interested in other episodes because the only thing he did here was, I guess, with Fisk, he talked about how he was raised and men forgiving men, they be better people. And he's standing outside that church, but very non-religious Matt Murdock we got going on. And I'm not a religious person, but that is kind of the deal with Matt. Like, you need that in there. So I'm hoping that comes back later on, because it kind of feels weird. And I wonder if that's the one thing they're going to be like, oh, we don't want to really touch on that. We'll do the present thing. We'll do the police brutality thing, but the religious
Upside
stuff.
down crosses in his suite, like just getting really
Yeah.
dark.
But it just felt like each season has always started with like him in a church, him with a pastor, him being saved by his mother, the priest or the nun. Like, it's very religious heavy. And this is like, that's gone, I guess. So we'll see.
Well, he doesn't have anyone really pulling him into that path of religion, because I can't
His
remember saying
mom.
father.
God himself, Taylor.
Are you gonna
Really?
see his
Season
mom
3?
in here though?
Xavier pulled him in.
Yeah, I would like to, because remember season 3 ends of like, hey, if I ever need some guidance, she's like, well, you know where to find me. To me, that was a clear setup to like, oh, she's that character now. She is the religious character you can go talk to and have your issues about God and Satan, and hell, and justice and vengeance. But they did say, remember, they don't want to do a lot of that conversations in the show, so that's probably why it's gone. It's too much for them. So, yeah.
Fair.
Bummer.
Go
I
ahead.
had a couple of things to mention more on Fisk in a positive light, because I was pretty negative on him back in season 3. But even just his like introduction to that meeting, I thought again, sound design was phenomenal. I think they just did such a good job at just having like some thick tension in the air, coming in looking like a Slim Jim. You know, he's lost some fat. He's looking all shredded. But like just the way that no one really said anything, and just I thought that was a really good showcase of that power that Kingpin always exudes, and the way that I always thought he exuded it. And then going through the Daredevil show, I lost some respect for him, you know, just being a Vanessa simp. But hopefully we're getting out of that now. And then you already mentioned the diner scene, but yeah, that was like quick in the trailer. Was it just mentioned like he's mayor and he knows that he's Daredevil? Because when I watched that, I didn't know that he knew that he was Daredevil yet. Like, I wasn't there in the original
right.
show. So that's the only part I
No,
really remember from the trailer.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they were just talking, like, they just showed some of the threatening things and everything. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're a different type of men, aren't we? You know? that type
I
of
was
thing.
really just impressed, though, with that scene overall. I think, I don't know, I should have had high expectations for that, just because they're two really powerful, you know, big characters, great actors and everything. But man, like it blew my mind. I think this was the point of the first episode when I just was really, oh yeah, this show's gonna be something special if we have these two being the focal points. Like, I was expecting it to be a lot more aggressive, but I was impressed that they're almost just like looking back on like the trials that they've gone through together, and just they're both like grown now. They're not really, because Matt's going to be Daredevil again, and Kingpin's
they're
going to
gonna
go
be
back to
right
crime.
back to where they
But in
were,
that
yeah.
moment, they're able to just be like, yeah, you know, we're turning over a new leaf. So I think I was just really impressed with how the dialogue went, because it's not how I thought it was going to go at all, judging by the trailers and just judging by the past. So yeah, it surprised me there.
And I kind of liked what I forgot to touch on. I like that Kingpin, each season, we have somebody Stick in season 1, Elektra and Punisher in season 2. Not really in Defenders, but then season 3, you have Matt himself, because he's like, should I kill Kingpin? It's better for New York. You always have some character trying to push him, and at the end of that conversation, Fisk's like, oh, it felt good on that rooftop, didn't it? Just release everything on Point Dex. Just like, he's like trying to tell him, like, yeah, it's feel good to kill people, right? Like, because Kingpin used to do that all the time. So Matt doesn't admit to it, but that's the tough thing, that there's always a character trying to pull Matt over that line. And this time it's funny, it's never been Kingpin, but this time he is, and that's why I will be curious of Kingpin now that he's gonna make, I don't know, it's kind of like Civil War 2, where it's like the Sokovia Accords, like any vigilantes, you know, look out. But when he does become or Daredevil, like, he knows where to find, like, he has the answer for that one. He talks about a kid dressed as a spider. As of right now, he doesn't even know who Peter Parker is, but like, he knows who Daredevil is. So like, I feel like that's an easy fucking warrant to draw up. So that's why it's gonna be interesting. Okay, what does Daredevil get over him, or is it a situation where they're gonna have to work together, where Daredevil or Kingpin will have to like have Daredevil out there because X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's Vanessa. Maybe Vanessa gets so bad that he can't take her down, but he wants someone to take her down, and that's where Daredevil comes in. I don't mind the heroes and villains working together, you know? So,
Queen Pin, that'll be your name.
Queen.
hell yeah.
Daredevil to me has crossed the line already in this season, because I mean he he did not know Bullseye would survive knocking him off that building. He fucking
No,
sent him.
he
to
was
his
gonna
death.
murder. He wanted
So
to
yeah,
murder
that
man.
that was him murdering him. And as far as I'm concerned with these two cops, that he killed them. That guy that like
think so.
flipped and like bent his
At
neck
least
backwards
one.
on the floor. He's dead. He's dead.
I don't think they're actually dead. It's like the Arkham games where they should be dead, but I
Oh, no.
I don't think
It's like the
so.
zoom in of their
dead.
skull just being crushed.
Pretty much, like, so you think they're dead? Pizza bet?
The one guy, it would be so. We're talking about realism here in the sense. I'm not gonna pizza bet because I'm sure you are probably right, but like. I can't fathom how that guy, he was smashed into the wall, and then the way his neck bent up and his body went back, Madison covered her face because, like, yeah, he fucking died.
Happened to Bullseye, and then he came right back. You know, maybe this cop has the juices too. You know?
He might have the juice. Who knows?
He's got that tat, you know. So
The
which
Punisher
is-
tat, which is that why they're like Punisher followers?
Yes, and that's where I was going to say. I didn't say that in the non-spoilers, but that's a third, like, very political thing. Because a couple years ago, Marvel got rid of the Punisher brand because of real-life cops and people using that logo. And Marvel's like, I don't think we want to be part of this. And then eventually they did do a storyline of Punisher finding cops and fucking them up and being like, hey, you want a hero? Follow that guy. And he's he's pointing to a picture of Captain America. He's like, you don't follow me. Like, I'm a fucking monster. Like, you're pathetic for idolizing me. And that the second, because me and Chris had talked about this a long time ago, of like, I don't know if they'll ever do that story on the show. But the second I saw this tat, I'm like, oh man, they're gonna go there. So again, that's the thing that I'm attributing the show of loving it. Of that's how I think Frank gets here. Is these cops now have taken the ideology of Punisher, which is a very dangerous thing. And when Frank finds that out, oh man, I cannot fucking wait. Like, it sounds bad, but Frank, kill these fucking cops, get rid of them all. Like, it's because like that's what I love about Frank Castle. He's such a fucked up character. It'd be like, don't be like me, you know, be someone better. And then he'll just go and fucking murder all the cops and be like, see, don't do what I'm doing. But he still continues to murder people. It's not like Matt who kills someone. He's like, oh, I made a mistake. I should have never done that. Frank's like, yeah, I shouldn't do this. And then he'll just like, you like that, huh? You like, he's just like, he's that's Frank Castle's amazing. I fucking love him so much. Like, he's very much like Dexter, where it's very twisted. Like, man, your ideology does not make any sense when you really look at it. But yeah, that's what that's setting up a storyline comic book of. He's gonna come back to New York, find these cops, and they are
And
gonna be in some
Kingpin,
rough
right?
shape.
He's still got a gun for him.
I hope so, but I think it'll be more on the cops because I think that's taking his logo, his ideology, and now it's like the cops are
He's a
out
big
there
brand
walking.
guy. He doesn't want people
He
stealing
is.
his brand.
Yeah.
I think another thing making that comparison, I really like that Matt after that sequence and what goes to the credits on the second episode is just like a Punisher scream, just like a
Yeah.
belly scream. So I don't know. I feel like that was also kind of drawing that line a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about the White Tiger storyline? I was surprised. I knew he was in here. I was surprised that it was episode 2 already, but the setup is, which I love the setup. This guy's getting beat to shit in the subway. He goes to stop him. One gets killed accidentally, and then the other one pulls a badge. So they set up as like they're muggers, but they're fucking cops. Again, they're like Punisher cops. So it's like perfect scenario. And yeah, I enjoyed all this. I don't know if they're going to set up the daughter. I did say to Emily, if I ever become a superhero, I'm not just going to hide my costume right under the bed. I thought that was a bit easy for the cop. Just like he finds the box, like, oh, White Tiger. Like, not, you don't even have a safe somewhere. Like, come on. So I thought almost like we were talking about before, some pacing stuff's like a lot quicker than usual. But so far I'm enjoying the storyline and Matt kind of looking at a mirrored version of himself. And I like him just being like, yeah, I got to crime fight more because Daredevil's gone and a lot of people need help. So kind of like shoving Matt's face like indirectly of like, maybe I wouldn't be out here so much if I had some help.
Daredevil
but like,
hero, he's a fucking pussy. Like,
yeah, like, yeah. As of right now, it just sounds like it's just White Tiger and Spider-Man in New York. So
Yeah, especially
fuck,
because
man.
he goes through the route of a trial, like he knows and
Yeah.
loves, but that gets absolutely nowhere. He's not even given a chance to make things right there. So I think that is just another good reason pushing him into the Daredevil route.
Getting beat up every night in the prison too. Like they get him moved at the end of episode 2, but still at that point he's just getting beat up or worse. So
Yeah, no, I really, really like this introduction of the character because initially I knew we talked about White Tiger. I did not have White Tiger in my mind at all. So I just see this passerby going to defend this guy. I'm like, man, like what a fucking good guy. And then
get him on the Avengers.
and he's like kicking their ass too.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, this is so different than I normally see from these storylines. And then of course it turns out he's an accustomed crime fighter, and he didn't have his amulet, so he didn't have his power. So he's just going straight up martial artists on him, and I was really intrigued by just the setup of the cops, and I think I was just expecting it to, like, I don't know, like the guy that they were beating up is like tied. I'm just so used to it all being around Wilson Fisk, so I was just kind of assuming that. But this is just something different than I was expecting. It's the same thing with how I was impressed by the dialogue between Wilson and Matt. Like it just caught me off guard. And I mean, the opening of episode 1 caught me off guard, but not in a good way. But everything else, it's been a pleasant surprise, and it just seems like a character that you want to root for, and it's like his behavior is not out of the ordinary, like for maybe how I would expect that character to kind of react to the situation that he's in. So yeah, I'm just really impressed by the introduction of this character, and it's just how he's gonna be intertwined with Matt going forward, and I don't know if they're buddy cops themselves beating up bad cops later on.
And RIP to the actor, because this is like his last performance. He was the one that got like the.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, this is his last role, so it's
That's
a
sad.
shame. And I've never actually seen this guy in anything, but I enjoyed from what I saw from him so far. So yeah.
That's too bad. He was phenomenal.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else we haven't touched upon? We talked about Karen, Eric. How we feel? So far I'm just like meh on the new side characters, the cop and McDougie. And I guess the girlfriend. We didn't even talk about. He got set up with a
Heather.
therapist. There was like a fake blind date sort of thing. It went from just a date to I think in episode 2 they're already like having to call each other like, hey, I'm not going to make it tonight. Like they're moving really fast. But so far I don't know actually. I like her tied into Fisk. I like the way they did that. Like she's a therapist, she ties to Fisk and Vanessa. That's a way to keep her in the show. I just don't know if I also need Matt to have another girlfriend, but I understand why. So I'm in a wait and see. But actress seems fine so far. I have no issues with her or anything. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. I feel like the way she's positioned between the main antagonist and the main hero is just prime territory for some good drama. So I'm sure we'll get to that, even if it takes a few episodes to get there. And I think she's cool. I think they had good chemistry together, and I like that we're getting like a little bit of distracted Matt, so he's like therefore a little bit awkward, which is funny to see at times too, especially like compared to like the kind of guy he was in She-Hulk. Like this is kind of funny going back to this version of him. So I think it's a decent setup. I'm actually excited for that character now.
Yeah, I thought they had great chemistry as well. That's all I'll say when I pass it on to Taylorfield here.
Cheers. I like their chemistry, and I think the idea of her being this pillar between the Fisks and then Matt, and just the dynamic that's gonna unfold. I'm sure there's obviously a lot of confidentiality, but it'll be interesting to see when Matt finds out, like, oh, your Fisk's shrink, like, oh, Andy, tell me more.
Fisk.
Yeah.
so Fisk.
I think the other thing too is we got that creepy guy who is like, I need your help.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Yeah,
you know something.
It's Poindexter's younger brother.
That I'll just say that character appeared in the first episode, but you didn't even see him. That's all.
In the first episode?
Yeah.
It's Xavier Taylor.
Yeah, that's
Charles
Xavier.
Xavier.
That's Charles Xavier. He's very young this go around. So the X-Men are gonna be like fucking middle schoolers.
Can I have another hint? I'm itching here.
He's in the last 5 minutes. I'll say that.
And does that like shed light on his identity if I rewatch those 5 minutes?
No, but when you see the show and if you rewatch, you're like, oh, there he is. It's if you've read the comic book, you know which character he is. It's that he was already doing something that I was like, oh, that's what that character does. So when you watch the show, then I'll like when we're done or when we get to a certain point, I say, oh, remember that thing that happened in episode 1? Be like, oh, that's it. So yes, that character will play a role coming forward. So
Your riddles.
Cool.
yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to
No,
just be like, okay, here's a character. They die this episode. They die this. What I was going to ask is, does she find out he is Daredevil at all? And if so, when in the season, if it were to happen?
Matt's
feel
so
like
bad at keeping his identities a secret.
Yeah, I'm already in the first episode, and someone new
Yeah.
found out, right? And I would wonder because like he dropped the helmet.
Yep.
But then he was still on the roof, so like I thought that was going to be a reveal that like just everyone knows who he is, But then it was like,
I
okay, I
thought
guess
for a
only
second,
that
yeah.
To go
cop
see Doctor
knows who he
Strange.
is.
Okay, never, but not Foggy, but not Karen.
Oh wait,
not,
Foggy's dead. Yeah, he can. Yeah.
yeah, not my mom. And then he's like, "Oh, you can't talk while you're doing the spell." Make everyone forget I'm Matt Murdock, and just like, oh god. And then Peter and him have something to bond over. Like, no one knows who I am. No one knows who I am. It's, oh my god.
So I think
That would be
they're
great.
gonna play a lot looser with it. I will say that she'll find out by episode 5.
I think I don't know how we're gonna get there because the Fisk connection. I think somehow Fisk is gonna be the conduit to her finding out. Don't know why if he slips. Don't know why if he does it as a way as a fuck you to Matt. Like Matt does something, and that's the start of Kingpin messing with him. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell your secret to her, who you've been lying to, right? So that's my prediction. Somehow Fisk is the one that gets her that information, and I think it will be this season. I'll be very curious because they still, even though they jumped a year later, they still put those little seeds of, like I said, Karen and Matt were talking about going back and doing some stuff together. So that's where it's like, I feel like you could literally edit that out. That does not have to be in that scene. So I feel like they're still trying to play it. But again, I'm Team Karen and Punisher, so I hope that's actually happening. And even the writer said there's like a little triangle between the three, so that's what's interesting. Just the problem with Punisher, you can't date a mass murderer. There's lots of problems that come with that. So
Still
So
sleep with
busy.
him, though.
yeah, she hasn't slept with him yet. So I'm waiting for Matt to hear that going on. And that's great. My one point too, I want to shout out that I feel like because it's probably more Disney MCU, what they go with. I felt like they like upped his amount of powers and the amount of time we like hear him listen to stuff. It always happened in the Netflix show, but this I feel like every 10 minutes the dude's hearing something, looking into something, and that's not a complaint. I just feel like that was something that was different from the original show, where that came in key moments. Where now it's like he'll just be walking, he'll hear like a TV 50 yards away. He's like, he like zeroes in.
I really
on
like
it,
the
you know?
visuals of it. I think they did a good
Yeah.
job of showing that off.
Totally. I didn't mention it, but I actually am a big fan of him slinging around like Spider-Man with his
Oh, yeah, I
baton and
love it.
wand.
Yeah.
It's very what I remember Daredevil being, whether it was like the Spider-Man games, like him appearing there, or even just like a comic book strip of him like just swinging around. It's just so rare in live action, and and we kind of already talked about it, but like the CGI movements, I guess I was actually a fan of, because it's just something that we haven't really
Whoa.
seen him move around with a lot. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that great show. Like he just had those types of movements in it, like flipping around and just being a lot more agile of a Daredevil. So yeah, I'm a fan of that.
I love when Bullseye was on the roof and he landed behind him. I was like, oh, fuck. And then you just see him jump in the air. So yeah, like I said, I was all fine with that movement there. I love more gymnastic Daredevil, because again, this guy has still like heightened, like comic book heightened sense. He's like has radar in his head. He's not regular blind who just like skills.
moves
Stick
like a
is
bat.
regular blind. What?
Moves like a bat,
He does. So
Yeah. Fisk's lawyer, I think is that's his position. I just saw his face here on IMDb. His character's name is Buck Cashman, and I just thought that was such a
hell
cool
yeah.
British
name.
guy?
Sorry,
Is he the British guy?
he's the one that got Heather to sign like the NDA
new Wesley.
before. Yeah, basically the new Wesley. What point
I think
Dexter
it's
could
the
never
British
be.
guy then. I think that is.
I don't remember his accent at all. I just remember
Is
reading the subtitles.
Is he the guy that went to the book signing as well?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, he was the British
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, because
yeah.
the other guy.
Buck
yeah,
Cashman. Great name.
that's a
Buck
poor
Cashman.
name right there, 100%. But yeah, he's the new Wesley, and yeah, we'll see how that works out. I also want to mention too that they first time ever dropped 2 F-bombs in this series, which the original show never had too. So they're letting you drop those fucks, So
Oh yeah.
Do you think Fisk kills Daniel?
no, I don't think so.
Daniel.
He's
Daniel's the young
Michael
kid.
Michael
Oh,
Gandolfini.
yeah.
yeah.
I could see it.
I could
Why
see it as well. I don't think it will.
Good job on your whole filling,
yeah.
Mr. Fisk. Yeah, he's gonna fucking clock him.
No, I
when
think he's
Fisk
gonna be
goes
a
like full
whiny guy.
Kingpin, I feel like when he goes full Kingpin, he's just fucking had enough. Daniel's just gonna be pissing him off, and yeah, he's gonna Ben Urich him.
I did think that scene was pretty goofy when they're in that traffic situation with the thing, and then he like gets out and he's like, come on boys, let's get back to work. I was like, what is going on here?
Get
Yeah.
on
See, I'm
your
doing things with the
feet.
people. It's
He's
like,
getting
yeah,
results. Yeah, I like that.
I just found it so funny that the whole construction crew was there, like as if it like just happened, and they're like directing traffic. It's like we're waiting for some red tape, we need some permits, and I'm like, this is so fucking bizarre. And then it's just fill up this hole, see what I'm doing, America.
There's a lot of red tape around this. Well, it's gone.
Is that what it's like for you, Kirkland? You show up at a house, just wait around for those red tape.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I don't got time for that.
I
I pull
thought
a
they were
Fisk. We fill those holes.
I thought they were gonna be cool and do something like this was like an MCU related attack, not like something we've seen on screen, but just like, oh, the Spider-Man was fighting some guy on the bridge in this whole.
That's what I thought. I
Yeah.
thought.
I
was like, did She-Hulk land in here?
Yeah,
What's going
even
on?
anything like I thought something like that could have been a fun reference, but no, it was just a big asshole in the ground or something. So
Big asshole.
yeah, we got a couple more of those moments when like he has to meet the fire chief. So we got some more Fisk mayor stuff, but I'm being curious if like I kind of hope he's still mayor into season 2. I hope
And
it's not
jumps
like
there.
that was always my complaint with Fisk because okay, we meet him season 1 in prison, he breaks out, season 3 back to prison. I hope it's not he's mayor. Oh, he's not mayor anymore because he did some shady shit. Like I want him to do the shady shit while he's mayor now, and then he's protected. So I kind of hope that he doesn't get like booted for like killing Daniel, squishing his head.
Yeah.
Vanessa left me for Andy. And then, Vanessa.
You just reminded me. I actually really like the little snippets of just interviews that they have with people on like the streets of New York. It's
Yeah.
like, what do you think of the new mayoral candidate? Like, especially the first time that they do. Like, I think it's like the BB whatever her news
BB
article.
report. Yeah.
It's just like a different like whatever. I thought I had like an ad. I'm like, is Disney Plus have fucking ads now? Like Prime? Like fuck this. Like I was getting pissed off, and then I realized we're still in the the Marvel universe. It was fun. And just some of the interviews that they had. Some of them were reoccurring, and it just. They just felt very real and comedic. There's a guy with like a headband that I don't know. I just liked his vibe.
It was kind of weird that it would like look like the '90s though. It's like this is modern day. So I
That's
don't
how
know
you're
what's
standing
going
out
on
though.
there.
You got to do it. 4x3. Nice film grain on there. Or that's all she could afford. She's just using a camera from the '90s. That's what's
Yeah.
left. So
Ben's old equipment.
yeah, named after her uncle. She said that. She said that. She's like, "Oh, BB, I got it from my uncle." It's like, okay, I guess great uncle. So, yeah.
Death Stranding, more like.
My last two things I had on the notes is I absolutely love the scene Fisk had with the commissioner where he's just like eating away on the sandwich. D'Onofrio's just so good. Like, I'm going to this place, but there's another place right beside. You can see where he's going and everything. I just
From
love
Philly,
the build-up.
right?
Yeah, I love like it's kind of like jovial and comedic, and then it gets scary. And then when he walks out, they just give him that line like, "That was a disgusting sandwich." Like, it's just like I absolutely loved it, man. Vincent is so good. And my last point too is I hate the new glasses Matt got, because when Karen and Matt are having dinner at the beginning, they're like, "Oh, you should change your glasses." Like, no, this is a classic. And now he has like, I don't know, he's looking like fucking Dr. Octopus with these goggles he's got going on.
They're big, big
Yeah,
frames.
they are big. Yeah, my hope is that because it broke at the end of episode 2, he's gonna go with the classic ones, because especially like I own those Daredevil glasses. Like that to me is the classic look, like more like the smaller, red around the eyes. So that was just a little note, but he did change it, so it shows that Matt's been going through a lot of changes this past year. And I also didn't mention that he is constantly keeping Foggy's funeral pamphlet on him, so he
Right. A
he
year
still
later.
needs some work to be done there. So yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know what it is. He is blind, right?
It has braille.
Yeah,
on it.
Braille on it.
And even then, he ain't blind. Again, like Matt Murdock is not blind at all. Really, it's like
No one can
that's a
see
fun-
better than him.
Yeah, that's a fun.
But he
gimmick,
can't read. He can't read paper. He needs braille though, right?
Of course, yeah. But like, Foggy's still dead. Okay, then what do you think it is, Taylor? What do you think he's constantly putting in his suit jacket pocket that he doesn't know what it is?
Shopping list. I don't know.
He's,
He can't
Alright.
text, can he?
Well, I
Talk
think
to
they have
text.
phones for that. Well, and I think they have phones with Braille. I imagine they have computers with Braille. So when they have a phone, like
But what happens if he has an iPhone and it's just
I didn't even
flat
think about
screen?
that. I imagine they must have accessibility things you could hook up to a phone that would be like a key. Like, isn't the things you could like?
You just,
through
I get
USB?
Siri to do everything.
Yeah.
You
It's like
can't
all
ch-
talk to whatever.
you can't
he calls,
just
he calls
voice it to-
Cherry.
no.
He's like, call Cherry.
As
That's how he does it.
somebody, Kirklin should attest this. As somebody, many times, especially when I was landscaping, would use voice text, send it, and then all you three fuckers would be like, "What are you talking about?"
Okay, well,
Travis?
most
You're a
people
fucking
don't
insane
speak
person."
as quickly as you do, Travis. So I feel like
That's
if someone
true.
speaks at a normal pace and like pronounces words correctly, then
That's
they're
fair.
probably
That's
good.
fair. But I just feel like it's not 100%, especially as a lawyer. You don't want to misspeak or say anything accidentally and like go off to someone. So
He's very eloquent. when he talks. He's very clear.
Yeah. Anything else? Daredevil, Borean.
My holes have been filled.
I like the ode to the old intro, just with the theme song that would come in here and there.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Don't love the new intro, but I like
Yes,
the build up of the song. You know.
I like it. Fun little tribute. Still miss the old one. I wish they did that one
Yeah.
time and then just went right back to the old one. But whatever. It's fine. We got bigger
I
problems.
skipped it. So
You skipped even the first time. You didn't even watch.
I don't
it,
know
see what
why.
it
I
was?
just did. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'll watch it on the third episode.
I skipped it the second time.
It's no friendly neighborhood intro. I'll tell you
Oh
that.
no.
No, you can't have a rap song open up Daredevil Born Again.
You
You
could.
can't see, but it can. He's coming for your fist.
depressed. Foggy dead.
Foggy just spoils the plot point.
Bullseye, and then just he's just.
Well, actually, no, Dylan, because the first time that they play the intro is after
Yeah.
Foggy
Okay.
dies.
True. Foggy dies so quick that it's before the intro.
All right. Well, we will now be back every week. This is new uncharted territory for us all because Kirklin and Taylor didn't, review the episodes like live. It was years later. Then me and Dylan did the binge while. Usually we'd be doing this and we're done, but now we got 7. No, wait, because we got 2 episodes and then there's 7 more weeks left. Yeah, because if they're doing another 2 for, I think I'm doing that right. Am I?
6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah. Okay, that sounds. I don't know. Somewhere I am. Taylor, you don't need to look it up. I hear your fingers. Dylan got it right. Don't doubt him.
Just personal curiosity.
Okay, you also just pulled the GV calendar; it'll all be there. But so we'll be here every week, doing that. So yeah, if you got any questions for us, obviously you can just ask on Patreon or in general. But there is the Daredevil Discord, so in the future, if there's something you want to bring up, we'd love to chat about it and give us your thoughts. And I think this is gonna be a fun time. I think this is a show that we're having a good time, but also I think we all got some different feelings on different aspects of the show. So which I like. It's all. Of course, it's great. We all come here. Oh, I loved it. That's fine. But like, I like when it's like this, when we all enjoy it. But we got some stuff going on. Tare, you got just a look in your eye.
I have a look in my eye.
Yeah, like we're ending this episode because it won't be boring next time.